Hello people, I'm Ginnymetheral and I'm a fourth generation witch who practices traditional magic taught to me by generations of my family. Today's video is part of my ever popular Almanac series and we're looking at the marvellous month that is May. Do you know what? I love May. It is one of my favourite months. I don't think anyone should ever leave England in the months of May and June because the earth has bedecked herself so beautifully. The weather is set fair. All the babies are out playing. I love it. What I'm going to do is give you a general overview of magic that you can do in May, and then we'll look at the individual days and get down to the nitty gritty. Now, there is quite a lot happening in May because it is one of the most fertile months of the year, and with fertility comes all sorts of added bonuses. So buckle in, this is going to be a long one. So the name May comes directly from the Roman goddess of spring and fertility, that is Maya. And my niece actually is called Maya, and a very beautiful name it is too. I thoroughly approve of her being called after a fertility and spring goddess. May is a month of flowers. It really is. The hawthorn, that magical white frothy bridal veil, really places itself over the whole of the British countryside. And there is no doubt why the Druids worship the hawthorn as one of their sacred trees. It is beloved by the Fae, it is beloved by farmers. It was the original bush that they planted to keep their stock in, the original hedgerow fencing. I don't have any May with me today because I'm filming this in April and the May is just on the cusp of coming out. It's not quite there yet. It'll be ready for the 1st. If you don't know what May looks like, it sort of looks like this, which is blackthorn, but more abundant and beautiful. The American pioneers who left the shores of England to cross over to America used the ship the Mayflower. Now it was called the Mayflower because a lot of its wood had come from the hawthorn tree, and this was particularly magical wood. I didn't actually know that fact, and I think it's truly it really brings together the American and the UK culture because these great pioneers of American society took the most pagan of trees, which is the hawthorn, and used it to build their boat and cross the ocean kingdom to America. It was a magical tree and would have kept them safe on their journey. And I am willing to bet quite a lot of money that they were offering little prayers to their ship to keep them safe throughout their journey. May is also the month for the bluebell. They're the traditional English bluebell and possibly the most charming flower I have ever seen. I love them. I love the colour blue. It's one of my favourites. During the month of May, bluebells can be heard ringing at dawn. And this is so that they're calling the fairies back from their slumbers in the woods. Now, May is the month when fairies hold their revels. And bear with me here for all of those who don't believe in fairies. I do and have spoken to many of them and will not hear a word against them. But this is the month for fairy revels. Now, you will know when the fairy revels are happening in your part of the world because suddenly there is like an electricity in the air. There's this huge sense of anticipation and you can feel the energy gathering itself together because the fairies are there to celebrate the fertility that is spring. We humans really are just following our fairy lead when we celebrate May Day festivals because this is truly their time. If you go out into a bluebell wood and lie down by a tree and then fall asleep, there is every possibility, especially if you have the advantages of youth and beauty, that you will be taken by the Fae. So don't go and lie on any bluebells and fall asleep. This also will upset the fairies because bluebells are their flowers. This is their time. And so you shouldn't really pick bluebells because it upsets the Fae. However, I have asked my local fairies whether it has been okay to pick the bluebells that have been flowering in my garden, and they have granted me this permission, which is very nice of them. Thanks, Fae. Thanks. Love it. May is the time for the first honey harvest of the years, and delicious it is too. It is also the time when all the young of the animal world are out and about, and this is the perfect month for badger cub watching. I love to see the badger cubs at play. Badgers are incredibly highly evolved creatures, and I do have a story of a badger funeral that was witnessed by my father-in-law many years ago when he was a young man, and this is a story that I shall tell in due course. So that is my overview of May, a time for fairies, flowers, animal cubs, and all things spring. Let's now look at the nitty-gritty days of the month, and of course we're going to start with the 1st of May. Now, I have made a beltane video and I'll put that up here for you, and this shows you all the traditional customs that May Day will bring to the beltane celebrations. However, I did want to give you a few others that I haven't included in that video, because otherwise it would have gone on for about 3 hours. There's so many of them. And in fact, I do have last year's May Day video, which I'll also put up here for you so that you can see what I say in that one too, because there is different information in both of them. So do have a look. So my favourite May Day custom is the bathing in the May dew. This has been around for literally hundreds upon hundreds of years. It was a very old established custom in the 1600s when Samuel Pepys, that famous diarist, was writing about his wife rushing off to bathe her face in the morning dew of May. May dew has healing properties. It cures skin complaints, wipes out freckles if you don't want freckles, and is generally the stuff of magic. My grandmother taught me this one actually, because she always had a dew collecting thing outside her door, and I used to ask her, what's this for, what's this for? And she said, oh well, I collect the dew because dew is so important to wash your face in it. It is the clearest and most pure of the waters and has magical properties to help you keep your youthful skin. Now, for those of you who were born at midnight on May Day, you are visionaries. You can see and communicate with ghosts, and you are also full of luck because you were born in something called a chime hour. But it just means that you are very lucky. So go forth and spread your luck around this world, for you May Day people are beloved by the Fae. For those of you who don't have a maypole to dance around, the forerunner of the maypole was to take coloured ribbons and tie it around a May bush, and then on May morning to dance about it in a circle, casting your magic as you did so. Now, there are a lot of customs which I haven't talked about, so I thought I'd give you just a list of things that you might want to go and do on May Day. Number 1. Sleep under an elder bush, because this will help you see the Fae. Do not give away any fire at Beltane, because this will take all the luck from your home. That's an important one, that one. You should be lighting the hearth from your need fire, your Beltane bonfire. And so if you then give away the Beltane bonfire from your hearth on May Day, you will just waste all the luck of the household for the year. Beltane is also the only day of the year where you can wear green with aplomb. Green is beloved by the Fae, and they get very jealous of the colour green because they think it's theirs, and so they say. I don't necessarily actually believe in this one myself, because I think that fairy don't really care what colour you wear. However, traditionally, you can wear green at Beltane and not incur the wrath of the fairies. Easy fertility spells at May are to pass yourself through stones with holes in them 3 times on May Day, and this will bring you the children of your dreams. Likewise, fisherfolk would cast garlands onto the sea on May Day to ensure a fruitful and successful and safe season of fishing. And lastly, in order to keep the fairies sweet, you must leave out offerings of butter and milk. The 28th of April to the 3rd of May is the best time to see Earthshine, which is where the new moon holds the old moon in her arms. So should you ever wish to see the dark side of the moon, now's your time. You can use this dark side of the moon to draw down the moon into your spells. So I do recommend doing all sorts of moon-worthy rituals around this time. The next date in our almanac is that of the 5th of May, because this is the day that the Aquarid's meteor shower reaches its peak. Now, this is a meteor shower which is left over basically from the dust of Halley's comet, which hits our atmosphere and creates these beautiful displays of shooting stars. And what do you do when you see a shooting star? Well, of course, you make a wish. And so this is the day to go outside and see if you can find them. The 8th of May is when that wonderful Cornish town Helston holds its Faerie Dance, which is in honour of the Flora goddess of spring and fertility. Now, the Faerie Dance is so pagan when the young men and women of the town, they go out and they dance throughout the day in honour of the goddess. The 11th, 12th and 13th of May are those dedicated to the ice saints. So this is the time when the last cold snap of the year is liable to happen on these 3 days. The ice saints were the 3 patron saints of this day, which was Saint Mamertus, Saint Pancras and Saint Servitius. It just means that you should wrap up warm. Don't cast a clout till May is out, which is something to do with keeping on your vests, I believe. The 13th of May is Old May Day. So when they changed the calendar, you know, we lost 13 or 14 days, I can't really remember, but people still celebrated Old May Day on the 13th. This is also known as Cowslip Day. So this is the day when the girls would go out to pick cowslips. These cowslips were made invariably into wine, which is delicious, wonderful old country wine. Or they would bind them together into a tisty-tosty ball. This was a ball of divination. So they would throw the ball up, and as they were throwing the ball up and catching it back down, they would say this rhyme. Tisty, tosty, tell me true, who shall I be married to? Tisty, tosty, cowslip ball, at my sweetheart's name you'll fall. And then they would say the names of their potential sweethearts, so Michael, John, James, Ryland, whatever it was. And if they dropped the ball at that name, that would be their future partner. The 16th of May is the night of the full moon, and this moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio is all about your deepest and darkest feelings, so it's a great time for you to set upon a path of self-improvement, because if you look at your deepest feelings now, you'll help you to overcome and work with those feelings to create a better future. There is a full lunar eclipse happening on this moon, which happens at 5:06 in the morning and can be viewed in London. However, a lunar eclipse does tend to bode badly for the coming month. I'm not sure what that means. We'll find out in the coming month, I'm sure. I would love to know if any of you fortune tellers out there can tell me what the lunar eclipse might foretell. Leave me a message in the comments. The 16th to the 22nd of May is the drawing down days of the moon in May, meaning that these are the days that you should make your moon water. And if you haven't made moon water before, I'll put my moon water video up here for you. And finally, we come to the 30th of May. This is the new moon for May, and this new moon is in Gemini. New moons are generally about making new plans and new aspirations for the coming month, and each new moon has its particular flavour. So with the moon being in Gemini, this is focusing on communication and friendship. So if you have any plans to go and understand things, learn things, get information from anything, this is the time for you to make your spells around that successful outcome, because the new moon in Gemini will help. Now, obviously, I really need to know your thoughts on May Day celebrations. Please do leave me a comment below. What are you going to do? I would love to hear your traditions and your thoughts. Let me know and I'll try and respond to every single one of you. If you're finding you're not getting enough of Ginnymetheral, do go to patreon.com/Ginnymetheral, as here you can access online Ginny herself I do a lot of teaching on Patreon, and I can teach you how to follow your path. So do go to Patreon for details. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a few days.